Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ali and here I just talk to myself about books and then someone, maybe you, may want to watch this at a later date. We are finally on the 1st of March because I can't do things within the right timescales. Picking out my March TBR, so let's get started. So first of all, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying the fact that now daylight hours are slightly longer than they have been over the past couple of months. I know I certainly am. It does feel so much better to wake up to the sight of some daylight and also to get home after work and there is, again, still a little bit of daylight. So yes, I've been really enjoying it. It's helping my mood massively. I cannot wait for us to get into like full-on spring summer vibes. I actually also booked a little holiday because I was like, I need to get out of the UK weather. But anyway, so as I said, we're going to be picking out my March TBR. I do already have a couple of books that I will be reading because of either book clubs or like something publishers have sent me. So I'll go over those first and then we'll pick out the next series from my trusty Bookpot, which is over there somewhere. We'll do that in a minute. Okay, so first of all, I mentioned in January that I was going to be joining Ashley of Library of Silver Saint, which I'll put up here, read along of A Song of Ice and Fire. So I did actually want to do this last year and I did start reading A Song of Ice and Fire last year. I think I read like Game of Thrones and then, I don't know, got distracted. Did I also read the second one? I honestly don't remember. I need to double check, but anyway, if I didn't, I am going to be reading A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin this month, which is the second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. I have actually read this before, but it was a long time ago, kind of like when the first series had come out. I was like, I'm going to try and read all the books before the rest of the series came out. Got up to like book 4 and then read no more. So I am quite excited to get back into this. If you don't know what Game of Thrones is about, it's an epic fantasy series about a Game of Thrones. So essentially it's very political. There's a lot of different kind of houses, etc., all fighting for like the ultimate power of the throne. There is a lot of different kind of like bits of the world. They have different powers. There's dragons, there's White Walkers, which are kind of like these monsters coming from the north that like kill everything and are also like icy. And yeah, I really enjoyed Game of Thrones. I really enjoyed the series as well up until like the last season when they kind of went a bit like awry, but I am quite excited to read kind of more in depth the storylines of the characters that were followed in the series. Also because I know there are some characters in the story, in the books, that are kind of like more well developed. Instead, in the series, they kind of didn't have time to do that in the same way. So I'm quite excited to kind of read about them in the books. And as I said, I have read this before, but it's been a long time and I don't fully remember like where each book covers. So yeah, I'll definitely be reading this month. The other book I'll be reading for another book club with my friends is Piranesi, or Piranesi, I don't really know how to pronounce that in English. So Piranesi, which is a book I have read before, really enjoyed, so I'm going to be like rereading it, so it shouldn't take me too long also because it's quite a short story. But yes, we kind of like have picked it out for our first kind of my uni friends book club and I'm very excited to get to it. I don't have the physical copy because I actually ended up packing it up. Where I mentioned that we're hopefully moving house at some point this year and I had a broken bookshelf, so I was like, let me just pack up some books now anyway. So it's unfortunately gone into that box, but I do have a e-copy as well, I think, so I'll be reading it on my Kindle. Did really enjoy it, excited to see what everyone else thinks. Yeah, looking forward to it. And then next I've got another book by Al Hess to read, which has been sent to me very kindly by the publisher, which is Angry Robots. Just here, and also the author themselves. This one sounds really good. I read another book by Al Hess last month in February, which was World Running Down, yeah, which was kind of about this oh gosh, what are they called, like a salvager in kind of like the wastelands of the dystopian Utah and this android, and they kind of like team up, potentially fall in love, to return some merchandise, and it doesn't kind of go the way that they planned, because said merchandise, aka some other androids, have started to develop sentience and self-awareness, and they don't want to go back to their life of escorting. So this is another kind of dystopian-y, sci-fi type world, but this one sounds even more intriguing than the other, so I'm actually really excited to read this one. So passionate pie aficionado Denver Bryant is in a rut. Whilst chasing a moment of viral popularity from months ago, their blog views are dwindling, leaving them with no way to pay next month's rent. Driving home from a tasting gone wrong, Denver witnesses a UFO explode into shards of light over their tiny town of Muddy Gap, Wyoming. Yet when they ask their neighbour about it, it appears that Denver's the only one who cares, and everyone's acting stranger. Frustrated, Denver documents the bizarre incidents to their pie blog, and their online popularity skyrockets. Their readers want the truth, spurring them to go to the bottom of things. The only person who takes them seriously is the new and handsome bartender in town, Ezra. But as romance burgeons between the two, they find they are trapped in a Muddy Gap's rapidly changing landscape. It turns out that alien presence is planting its roots deep in the town, and reality is now folding in on itself. Denver's always been more of an outsider than a hero, and they're determined to ensure that a world with Ezra and pie still exists tomorrow. And again, what I love about this is that the author actually is an artist and has drawn the characters, which is super cool. But yeah, so really excited to read this as well and let you know what my thoughts are. And then, as I've mentioned many times before, I'm currently part of 2 Waterstones book clubs. So for one of the book clubs, which is the sci-fi and fantasy one, the book that's been chosen is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which I've obviously very recently read. So I will not be reading that again, but I will obviously still be talking about it at book club. Love that series. Highly recommend the Bloodsworn Saga. It's one of like my favourite series, and I highly recommend. But yeah, we'll not be rereading that again because I've literally just read it. For the other book club, and we won't be discussing this book until April, but I might end up reading it at like the end of March, and that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I've had this on my shelves for so long. I read Once Upon a Broken Heart series, absolutely loved it. I've been meaning to pick this one up for so long as well and just haven't. So I will be at least reading the first book in March, if not the entire series, but I'm very excited for this. So I'll quickly read the blurb. Once a year, the infamous Master Legend hosts Caraval, open only to those who have been invited. This year, the week-long game is on Legend's glittering Isla de los Sueños, where the winding streets are elaborate, snow-covered mazes, and the people are never who they seem. At midnight on the first day, the show begins and the visitors become players. Each of them is vying for the coveted prize, a single wish. All they must do is unravel the mystery of Caraval, but in a game where danger hides behind every charm and smile, winning isn't without loss, and their wish might be their last. So yeah, very excited for this, because as I said, I really enjoyed Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and they're kind of linked, so. Okay, and now my favourite and most terrifying time of this video, which is to pick out the series that I will be binge reading in March. As I've mentioned at the beginning of the year, I have so many series that I own the physical books of in their entirety, and I have not read any of them yet, or I've only read like the first one. So this will help me rectify that, and my goal for this year is to read the majority, if not all, if I can, of the series that I currently already own on my bookshelves. So last month I read the Lady of Darkness series here, which was 5 books, and in January I read the Bloodsworn Saga. So let's pick out what March is going to be. And gosh, kind of a little bit scared. I do get to veto them if I really am not feeling it. Okay, I'll let you look first. So the Dandelion Dynasty. Is that that? Okay, I've actually really been wanting to read that, and they're massive books, but I'm actually super glad. So I believe this is the Dandelion Dynasty. Let me just double check. Yes. So what a good pick. Will I get to finish all of these books in March? Unknown, but I'm super excited to read them because, as I've said, they are ones that I'm quite excited to get to. Let me just rearrange some of these books. Okay, so these are actually probably the series I've acquired the most recently because I got them for Christmas from my brother. Thank you so much. I love them, obviously, and I am super excited to read them. It's another completed series, which I'm very excited about because I do love a completed series in a world of uncompleted series. So we have The Grace of Kings, and this is a series by Ken Liu. Grace of Kings is book 1. Then we have The Veiled Throne, The Wall of Storms, and Speaking Bones. And I love how these look, so I'm super excited. I'll quickly read the blurb of book 1. So Emperor Mapidere was the first to unite the island kingdom of Dara under a single banner, but now the Emperor is on his deathbed, his people are exhausted by his vast conscriptive engineering projects, and his councillors conspire only for their own gain. Even the gods themselves are restless. A wily, charismatic bandit and the vengeance-sworn son of a deposed duke cross paths as they each lead their own rebellion against the Emperor's brutal regime. Together they will journey to the heart of the Empire, witnessing the clash of armies, fleets of silk-draped airships, magical books, and shape-shifting gods. Their unlikely friendship would drastically change the balance of power in Dara, but at what price? Super excited for this. So yeah, let me know if you have read this and what your thoughts are. But I'm excited to add this to my TBR. Now, how ambitious do I want to be? So that's 8 books. I have read one of them before. Some of them are quite chunky. I might pick out one more book. I do have one that I didn't quite get to in January, so that is always a possibility. I'll just go grab it. So I do have this book that I was meant to read in January. I did pick out for my January TBR, but February TBR, but I didn't have a chance to read it, and that is Vesselless by Courtney L. Wynne. As I said, didn't have a chance to read this, so it could be a possibility that I end up also reading this in March. But what I usually do is, to give myself a little bit of flexibility, is pick out too many books. So what I'm going to do is, since the majority of the books I will be reading are paperbacks, I'm going to pick out one of my special edition standalones, or like kind of where I only got one book because it's the first in the series that's out, from my shelves down here, and I will also be reading that hopefully this month. And to do that, I will utilize my Illumicrate cards prompts to pick one out. Okay, so I have here my Illumicrate reading prompts. I'm going to pick out one card, and then I'm going to pick out a corresponding book, as I said, from down on my shelves, and we'll see what we will add to this very ambitious TBR, as always. Alrighty, hopefully we pick one out I haven't picked before. I should probably stop shuffling them every time, but I don't know. Right, okay. Alrighty, so here we go. Oh. Your prettiest Illumicrate book. Wow. That's a little bit biased. Let's have a look, see. Ooh, actually no, this works perfectly well because, yes, okay, no, I don't even have to look anymore. This is, in my eyes, the prettiest Illumicrate book that I currently own. It arrived in last month's, so January's Illumicrate box, and I'm super excited to read this, and I really wanted to pick it up ASAP anyway, so this has worked out perfectly. And that is none other than The Poet Empress by Chantal. I have heard nothing but like glowing reviews about this. I've heard it's a great fantasy, I've heard it's grimdark, and you know I love grimdark, so I am actually super excited to read this. It is also just a stunning edition. Look at the edges, the colour scheme on the front is just insane, and the naked hardback, like, come on, you can't tell me this isn't the prettiest Illumicrate book I currently own, because it is. So make of that what you will. Oh, interesting. I didn't realise Chantal didn't have a author picture. I've never really seen that before, but yeah, there's just a little bit. So I'll quickly read the blurb. House of the Azalea, where thorns meet bud, brothers betray brother, blood forged forgets blood. Young rice farmer Yin Wei was forced to become a concubine to Prince Guan Terran, a monstrous wielder of poetry magic and the heir to the Zila throne, to save her family from famine blighting the land of Tensha. Now confined to the imperial court, Terran's cruelty is not the only danger Wei faces. He and his honourable older brother are locked in a deadly succession war, while Terran's 30 concubines are fighting a war of their own for the position of future empress. To survive, Wei must harden her heart, rely on her wit, and become dangerous herself, even if it means learning the one forbidden poem that can kill Terran and save both herself and the nation. But there's a problem. For the spell to work against a man she hates, it must be written with love. So yeah, I am super excited for this actually, and that has worked out super well. Okay, so as always, I have been stupidly ambitious with my TBR for March. Here we have it. We also have Piranesi that is currently not in the pile, and this one up here is just if I get to it kind of book. Yeah, super excited to read all of these. Let me know if you've read any of them and what your thoughts are, and if you enjoyed the video, please do pop a like. If you would like to see more, please subscribe, and see you soon.